Let me ask you a question. Are you looking to generate more sales leads to fill your calendar just chock full of high quality appointments? Now, most people in sales are going to say yes to that. And the reason for that is that what holds most of us back from ultimately hitting our sales goal is really that our pipeline simply isn't big enough. We just don't have enough appointments on our calendar in order to hit the sales goal that we need to hit, in order to make the money that we want to make. So having a rock solid lead generation strategy is going to be so key. So in this video, I'm going to show you 11 tips to generate sales leads. Tons of them. Check it out. Number one, great data. Now, this may seem like a boring point, but it's so important because if the people that you're reaching out to aren't the kind of people that you actually want to be talking to, or you have the wrong information on these people, none of this stuff is going to work. It all starts with having great data. So you've got to have a good source for where you're getting your leads. Who are the people that you're actually going to be reaching out to? And is that information fully up to date? Is it accurate? Do you have the right numbers? Do you have the right emails? All of that stuff is so important because, quite frankly, nothing will work from here on if we don't start with great data. Number two, personalize. Let's face it, automation is everywhere. Your prospects are receiving so many automated outreaches that it's crazy, right? Their inboxes are just full of automated outreaches. And so if we are not personalizing our outreach, the prospect is immediately going to delete it because they're going to assume that it's not a real person sending it. So what personalization does is it's sending a signal to the prospect that, you know what, there's a real person on the other end of this email or on the other end of this call or on the other end of this LinkedIn outreach that knows something about them. So the more we can actually personalize our outreach, the more the prospect is likely to simply read the message and then ultimately respond to it. Number three, speak their language. It's so important that we are speaking the language of our prospects. Because if we're using language that is maybe familiar to us or our industry, but not familiar to our prospects, then immediately the message goes nowhere. Right, so if you're a software company who sells to law firms, right, you can't be using language that's specific to your software industry. What you need to do is you need to speak the language of who you're actually selling to. That's the only way you're going to connect your message with what they're looking to accomplish. Number four, know your KACTA. Now, KACTA stands for Kick-Ass Call to Action. Again, that's Kick-Ass Call to Action. This is so important because if we're just asking someone to get on a call with us or, hop on a Zoom so that way we can learn more about their business, you are literally going to get a reply rate of near zero, right? You need to have a kick-ass call to action that is really compelling to the prospect. So that way they're like, yes, you know what? I am willing to get on the phone with a salesperson because whatever it is they're offering seems of such value that I'm willing to forego the fact that they're probably going to try to sell me something. That's how powerful your kick-ass call to action has to be. It's got to be something so much more than just, hey, can we hop on a call so I can learn more about your business? It's got to be something of actual value to them. Number five, map your campaign. So most salespeople and small business owners are really haphazard about what their outreach process really looks like. And so what we want to do is really map out each step of your prospecting campaign. So we're creating somewhat of an assembly line that your prospects are ultimately going to go through that will lead them through a path. So even if they're not responding to the first 3 emails and they're not answering the phone the first 5 times and they haven't responded to the first 6 LinkedIn outreaches, right? It's all taking them in one direction. So that way they're ultimately starting to get to know you. And by the time they actually do answer the phone, there's just a little bit more of a relationship. So that way it's not ice cold, but instead it's lukewarm. And you have a much better chance of actually engaging them in a conversation. Number 6, lead with email. Now, in today's world of cold outreach, email is still the gold standard. So we want to map out our campaign by leading with email. So any call, any social outreach, any mail or packages, everything is kind of in a follow-up to the email. That's going to be the most effective way to map out your campaign, by leading with email and then of course supporting with all of the other channels. Number 7, leverage the power dialer. So if you are using the phone in your prospecting campaigns, which most salespeople should be because it's an incredibly effective tool, we want to be leveraging power dialer, which means that if you are just making calls right now with your cell phone or on your computer and you're just dialing in the numbers, you are doing it the old school way. A power dialer is going to allow you to make, instead of 20 dials an hour, will allow you to make 60, 80, 100 dials an hour because it's literally automatically dialing the next person as soon as you end the last call. So a power dialer is so much more powerful because it's so much more efficient with your time. Now, there are a number of power dialer systems out there. I'm not focused on which one to use, but leverage that technology if you're using phone to support your campaigns. Number 8, support with social. Now, the big buzzword in my space all revolves around this idea of social selling. Like, social media is this magical vehicle that is going to fill our calendar with sales. And the reality is that, you know what, social is a great channel, right? That means LinkedIn or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok or whatever it is, right? But the reality is that these platforms are much better at supporting the campaign as opposed to being the actual lead blocker in the process. So if you're using social to support your campaign, great, right? So maybe you're using LinkedIn as another way to reach out to your prospects that include email, phone, but then it's the LinkedIn in this case that is going to be supporting the messaging that you're sending throughout the rest of your campaign. Number 9, bring value throughout. Have you ever received a cold email or some kind of LinkedIn outreach where the salesperson says something like, "Hey, just checking to make sure you got my last message. Take care," right? There is nothing more annoying than what we call in the industry a bump email or a bump message, which is basically just kind of like, I'm bumping this to the top. And that is the absolute lowest value message that you can send to a prospect because it's literally bringing no value. It's basically just saying, "Hey, did you see my last message?" Which is just annoying because you either did see it or you didn't, and now you have to kind of go back. It's like, bring value in every message that you're sending. So every message is bringing its own type of value. Maybe there's a piece of content, a video, maybe an idea, whatever it is, but each message should have its own value so that way it's never annoying, right? Because once you're annoying, then you're just pestering people. But if you're bringing value throughout, you're slowly increasing the value that you have in the eyes of your prospects. Number 10, leverage introductions. Now, we've talked a lot so far about basically cold prospecting, but you know what? You have an asset that you probably completely undervalue, which is your existing network. So leveraging introductions is so important as a factor in generating sales leads. You have people that know who you are. Maybe it's customers, maybe it's prospects that you've talked to in the past, maybe it's people in your professional network. Wherever they are, these people are sources of potential introductions to other people that you can help. So leverage those introductions to other people. Don't just rely exclusively on cold outreach. Have some other oar in the water that's going to be warmer waters. And one of those places is absolutely in leveraging introductions, or some people might call them referrals, but we love the term introductions because it's literally introducing person A to person B and making that connection. Number 11, rinse, wash, repeat. One of the keys to effective sales lead generation is that it is consistent and that we keep on doing it. So many salespeople and business owners kind of are like the hare who's just running, and then stops, and then run, stops. And so what we want to do is create a systematic campaign that is constantly running. So it's just always going. So just rinse, wash, repeat, and it's constantly on. So that way we're consistently filling up our calendar with high quality leads. And there's never those lull periods where we're just sitting around twiddling our thumbs, waiting for our calendar to fill up. So there are 11 tips to generate sales leads, tons of them. And if you enjoyed this video, then I have an amazing free training on the step-by-step formula to closing more deals. Just click right here to get registered instantly. Seriously, just click right here. This is an in-depth training that will help you close more deals at higher prices, all while generating more meetings. Also, if you got some value, please like this video below on YouTube and be sure to subscribe by clicking my face, which should be right about here, to get access to a new video just like this one each week.